the hockey portion, man, like growing up in Canada, was that like an instant, like you're instantly drawn to it, or was there like another sport that maybe superseded it in the beginning? Like, how did the hockey piece all come to be?
Yeah, you talk to my mom and my dad, and they basically put a mini stick in my hand, and I would just walk around the house whacking a ball with it. So they kind of, hockey, we're always slightly pushed in to play. Like naturally, every kid is slightly led, just like my kids. I'd be lying if I didn't say, oh, here's a hockey stick at 2 years old. Why don't you try it out? And my daughter with a tennis racket. But yeah, I was just walking around playing hockey, just again with the grandparents on the floor. And then naturally, I got put on the ice and I really started to love that from what my parents told me. But again, I had two loves kind of at the start, soccer and hockey. I loved playing hockey in the winter. I loved playing soccer in the summer. And I did that till I was about 10, 11. And then I turned soccer into roller hockey. But yeah, I think back that, hockey was for sure my first love.
As your hockey career started to develop and take off, you spent time in the Western Hockey League with the Lethbridge Hurricanes, Kamloops Blazers, and Red Deer Rebels. For those who are unfamiliar with junior hockey, like you play at a very high level at a very, very, very young age, where you're not necessarily completely physically and or mentally developed. Like, what was that experience like from you, and what did you learn?
You learned how to be a man fast. I'll say that, when and it's different now. It is a lot different now. The game's a lot different. Culture, society, a lot of things are a lot different than they were in those days. And that's good. There's, some bad to today, but there's a lot of good as well that comes with it. And for me, I was 138, 140 pounds when I started the summer, finished the summer at about 135 pounds, finished the summer at 145 pounds. I was 5'7" at 16 years old, playing against 20-year-olds, fully developed, Bugard, who's 6'9", 280. And you're playing against these men, and a lot of them drafted, have played NHL games, are playing in the NHL. Again, it's junior hockey, so it's age 16 to 20, and it's all the best players from Western Canada condensed into 20 teams, basically. So I just remember making it as a 16-year-old. First off, it was my hometown team. And back in the day, we didn't have Instagram or computers to go on to watch 30-second highlights of the NHL and see what NHLers are doing. The NHL was like a mythical creature, and the WHL to me was the NHL. So when I was a kid, I looked up to these WHL guys like they were God. So I just still remember trying out for the team and making the team thinking I'd made the NHL, right? That was my thought. That's how I believed. Or that's what I believed. And again, I put all my effort into it, but I still think back of how I felt some days before games, going into Medicine Hat, playing against some of these teams with some of these players, being like, if I get hit, I might break in half today. Like there are some big boys, and again, the game was way more physical. That was pre the first lockout, so hooking, two line pass was still in, and a lot of things. It was basically just a rugby match down the ice. So again, game was very, very different. And I love where the game is at today. I would have loved to play at 16 years old with the way it is today. But yeah, you definitely come into something where you're excited about it. You learn, how to adapt to it. I met a lot of great people in junior hockey, but yeah, you are 16 years old. You're playing with men and guys that have different interests. So it again, like I told you, at that time, it made you grow up fast.
Were you prepared for that? Like when you made it, were you prepared for the growing up fast, or was there like a little bit of like a learning period for you?
I think, where I grew up helped me a little bit, in the understanding of you're not going to get anything handed to you. You're going to have to pick up the pucks. You're going to have to, do a lot of things to let the veterans know that you're there, to work, and you're not just going to be there to get handed things. And that's things I look back into today's game. I wish they still had not just the respect factor of, hey, let the vets, they've been here for a while, go pick up pucks. Just something simple. There should never be any hazing. There should never be any of that stuff ever, ever, ever. But the simple things I think are always a sign of respect, which I've always really liked. And I know when I got to the NHL, it's like, okay, go pick up pucks, let the veterans eat first, little things like that. And I was, I felt a little bit of my upbringing did help me prepare for that type of stuff. Hey, these vets, they're not going to hand it to you. You're going to have to earn their respect. And that's what you did. And at the end of the day, they would all come around and they all ended up being great guys and would take care of you. But that's just how it was. And, I still, I saw value in it, the respect for someone who's been there and done it.